Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Red Bull Sports Podcast. And what a test match we've had right now. So, absolutely brilliant. I have no words. I'm joined by three Aussie fans, Sanket and Aswin here. Hi, guys. How are you
Hi,
feeling?
Shreyas.
We'll go on to
Hello.
Aswin
Uh,
first.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm feeling absolutely buzzed. Yesterday when I went to sleep, the hope was that when I wake up, mostly I'll be seeing the presentation ceremony. I was not planning to see the first session, but even I woke up at around 5 and I saw that Rahane got out second over, and then I got frustrated and then I slept again. But what a performance by India! It was no one saw it coming. We are known to uh, capitulate in the fourth innings. I think this is the first time I've seen us play till the second new ball in the fourth innings. It's been a wonderful batting performance, and I have no words for it. I didn't expect it, and I was very surprised and very happy to see this.
Yeah, what happened? I think. Okay, you can go on, Aswin. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
able to hear you.
So. Uh, Yeah, there's been some ordinary fielding from Australia that has helped us, but with Vihari's hamstring and the Pant. While Pant was batting, there was actually at the end of like when he was at the end of his innings, we were actually hoping that we might go for the win. I was a bit scared that it might be similar to that Adelaide match where we go for the win and lose wickets, but thankfully when Pant finished, sanity restored and we went for the draw and we saw it through. So feeling absolutely amazing right now. Uh, can't say anything. No.
So, Sanket, how are you feeling in terms of Australian perspective? I mean, it's been so bad, right? Like, even in the Headingley test, Stokes played really well, and uh, did you like? Do you feel that Australia bottled it again, or do you? What are your thoughts? Like, do you feel India batted really well, or is there anything Australia could have done? I mean, as far as I saw, they were bowling a lot of short balls. So, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I think probably a combination of several things. I don't think Australia bowled as badly as 5 wickets in 140 overs suggest. I think there was a fair amount of bad luck, catches going down, edges not caring, you know, ball beating the outside edge of the bat. So, and you obviously need that when you're batting in the fourth innings on a track that's going up and down against a good bowling attack. Uh, you're obviously going to need your slices of luck. So absolutely nothing to begrudge the Indian team. They were absolutely phenomenal, and I think they batted absolutely brilliantly. That's a batting performance that I certainly did not see coming from the Indian side because you know before this series, you know all the talk was about how good India's bowling attack is, and that was the one element that gave them a chance in the series because they had a bowling attack that could exploit the vulnerabilities in the Australian batting line. But this was a test where Australia's batsmen actually stood up for a change, scored, you know, put runs on the board. There are obviously issues that still exist with the batting, but that was not the reason why we couldn't win this test match. Uh, and the bowlers were given enough runs to play with and enough overs to bowl the opposition out. So I think you just got to take your hats off to the Indian batting lineup. They are obviously without their best batsman and captain, for this for pretty much the entire series, and they were with two batsmen and three arguably because Jadeja is as good as a frontline batsman these days. Uh, in the top seven who were injured, and they still managed to draw the test match with Ashwin, who's not been in the greatest of form with the bat for the last couple of years. Playing nearly 200 balls to save this test match is something that I certainly did not see coming at the start of the day. And certainly not after India lost a couple of early wickets. Uh, so yeah, I mean it's something that is hard to explain. I don't think Australia bowled terribly. The Mitchell Stark was obviously disappointing. Nathan Lyon, was not quite, once again, I always felt that Nathan Lyon is not the spinner that you would want in this side when you're looking to bowl the opposition out in the fourth innings. He's a good bowler in the first innings of a test match. He's a good support bowler, but he's not, someone who runs through sides on the fourth, on the fifth day. But again, I think he bowled better than his figures suggested as well. He's probably a little bit unlucky to have just 2 wickets. India played him again exceptionally well, I would say. And so yeah, I think it's just a combination of several things. I think it would be slightly reductive to just make it about bad bowlings or good batting. It's always a combination of several factors. Whenever it's a result of this kind, and I wouldn't say the pitch was flat. It was obviously the flattest pitch of the series so far. But let's not forget that none of the sides actually crossed 350. In any of the innings, any of the 4 innings of the Test match. So and especially on the fifth day, there was more than enough assistance on the track. If you look at the cricket Wiz pitch Wiz statistics as well, there were a lot of indentations, and the ball was going up and down. So yeah, I think full credit to the Indian batsmen. They were absolutely phenomenal.
We've got a question here from Prashant Satish. So, do you like to answer on that? How long should Australia make a spot seal with Tim Paine, and is it a concern yet? I've seen you tweeting something regarding the specialist keeper, or why Tim Paine should not be in the side. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think I posted a stat during the first innings that Tim Paine has got the lowest average among all the 9 Test playing nations that are currently in the World Test Championship. Of all the wicket keepers who are playing for the top 9 Test playing nations in the Test Championship, the only guys who average lower than him are Johnny Bairstow and Riddhi Mansa, and neither of them are first choice for their teams anymore. So yeah, I mean, his batting is obviously a below par for a wicket keeper, not just in this era, but his Test average, since 2019 is lower than Ian Healy's batting average. So that those numbers would not be acceptable even in the 1990s and 80s for a wicketkeeper, let alone in 2021, where wicketkeepers are expected to average in excess of 35 with a bat. So yeah, that's definitely a cause of concern. And his batting and his keeping is supposed to be the stronger suit to his game, and that was obviously disappointing today. I personally would not be too harsh on his keeping in isolation, because I've always believed that drop catches happen. I'm not someone that is going to lynch someone for dropping catches. Just like you wouldn't drop you wouldn't blame Rishabh Pant or Just Butler or anyone who's a batting keeper for dropping catches. I think the same goes for a specialist keeper. But I think the problem with Tim Paine should be always viewed with from a longer term context, and it should not be about one game. Is he contributing enough runs with the? Is he contributing enough with the gloves to compensate for what is clearly a very below average batting output? I don't think so. So yeah, purely on merit, I don't think Tim Paine is the best wicket-keeper batsman in Australia in Test match cricket. And yeah, I think that there are options where Australia could easily upgrade on him. But again, the question of captaincy always arises. I personally don't think that captaincy is particularly relevant in Test cricket. I think most of the tactics are decided in the dressing room, and I don't think Tim Paine is. I've not seen anything special from Tim Paine in as far as on-field tactics go, anyways. So again, he's easily dispensable there as well, if under normal circumstances. But we're living in times where two of the most senior players in the side have got clouds hanging over their heads because of what happened 3 years ago, and it's not so much a case of ethics or morals about not giving them the captaincy back, but the question is more about whether you really want it, given what happened, what transpired 3 years ago, and uh, whether you really want that burden of being the flag bearer of having to carry the sportsmanship and all that sort of stuff. So I personally would not want Steve Smith, especially at this stage of his career, where he's entering the latter parts of his career. I think he should be left alone to focus on his batting. David Warner's anyways been banned from life as far as captaincy is concerned. In Australian cricket, he can still captain the IPL and all that, but he cannot captain a team in Australia again. So again, those two options are out of the window. Manas Labuschagne, I think, is still a bit inexperienced. I think if you ask me this question in maybe another year's time, he would probably be a more acceptable alternative. So right now, I think the only option that is available would be someone like Pat Cummins. He's the vice captain of the side. And this summer it was quite notable that Australia shifted from the two vice captains policy to making Cummins the sole vice captain in all formats of the game. Now they are quite insistent that this is not an indication of any succession planning, and this is just them reverting to the traditional one vice captain system instead of the two vice captain system that they had implemented post Cape Town. But obviously no one is going to admit to succession planning in public eye. But I think it's clear that with Cummins being appointed as the sole vice captain in all formats, they clearly view him as a leader, and he's clearly seen as someone who could potentially lead the side in the future. So if a situation arises where Tim Paine's place in the side is under jeopardy, which I believe should be now, although I'm not too sure whether the selectors and the team management view it that way, but I think Cummins could be a viable alternative to step up. Maybe not in the long term, because you ideally wouldn't want a fast bowler to do it for too long a period of time, but maybe for a year or two, until someone like Manas settles down, or maybe other batting options emerge who could lead the side. I think that could be a good short-term compromise.
Yeah, agreed, Sanket. So very valid points, and we got a comment from Anirudh as well. Ashwin, Vihari, Pant all injured. Has there been a more against the odd performance from India? Yeah, I mean, definitely in the recent times, I feel that this is one of the most what do you call amazing performance shown by India. Like there's a lot of great determination, and I frankly didn't expect that we would last the even after tea. I expected that we'd lose five wickets and go on to lose the test match, but the grid shown by Ashwin and Vihari is brilliant, and Hunt, oh my god, what an innings, and to do it again in Sydney, really unbelievable. I particularly like the Hunt and Pujara partnership. One holding on at one end and Punt scoring really freely. So, what do you feel about it, Ashwin? Did you expect this innings from Rishabh Pant, specifically after the blow that he suffered 2 days back?
Yeah, like we were not very sure whether Pant will come out to bat like at five basically, because we thought like if we hold on to like till T, then maybe Pant and Jadeja will come and try to save the test match. But coming that early on the day, we did not expect that. And having said that, like you expect Pant to play like that. What was surprising was that how long it went on. It was amazing. It did give us hope for a win, but like I was more scared that we might do an Adelaide again. But sadly, luckily that didn't happen. Yeah, Punch had a very good innings. Shout out to Pujara as well. It's surprising how much hate he got after that first innings 50. He played his role brilliantly in the first innings, but some Indian fans they now want runs of every balls. I was really surprised at how could someone hit Pujara for doing his job so well. And then in the second innings, he did his job absolutely brilliantly. He played the 200 balls. Uh, that's what you expect from Pujara. He always plays time, and that is something that is seriously lacking in general test batting. If you see across teams, there are very few players who bat time. Uh, and also this fourth innings batting performance, I think if we have to remember the last time India had a proper fourth innings batting, I think we have to go all the way to that Chepauk test in 2008. Uh, After that, I think all we've seen are very disappointing fourth innings performances. We get very small targets as well. I think in South Africa we got some target around 150, 160, where like we were some 90 for two, and then we collapsed. So it is very heartening to see, like us putting up such a grit and then holding on till the end, which was what was lacking in the previous test matches.
Yeah, definitely, Ashwin. I mean, I particularly agree on the Pujara standpoint that you have. I mean, it's ridiculous to even say that he could maybe score faster or something. Personally, even some of my friends told like he could score faster in the first innings. That's why even after this result, they told that. I mean, if he tried to score faster, he would have gotten a lesser lead and would have maybe chased this down. But I think it's ridiculous from my viewpoint. Of course, it's their opinion. So Aswin, coming over to you again. So what changes do you expect at Brisbane, considering all injuries and stuff?
Like from what Rahane said, I think like Pant is good to go. So I think so. We have one. We'll have two force changes. I think Jadeja. I don't think he'll be fit to play. Although Rahane said that Physio might take the call, and I don't think Vihari will be available. So I don't think we can play five bowlers, all of whom can't bat. So Mayank is the obvious choice who comes in. I'll personally drop Gill at four because we saw the clear difference, right, when like between there needs to be an attacking batsman between Pujara, Rahane, and Vihari. So I think Gill can do that job. Mayank, I don't know why he was dropped in the first place. It was very unfair on him. He can continue like his opening slot. He had a bad couple of tests, but otherwise a very great career at the opening. So I think he'll be back at the top. Gill might drop to four, and then in place of Vihari, uh, I don't see who else is left. Maybe they can play Saha for his keeping and play Pant as a pure batsman, but I'm not sure who else is there in the squad. I don't think we can play Shaw.
Prithvi Shaw is there. Yeah.
We can't play four openers and four bowlers. That would be a weird choice. So I don't think we have much option there. I think Saha, or I think Saha and Shah are the only two people that are available right now. I don't think Kuldeep can play. We have our four bowlers will play the same bowler. So my personally, I think Shah will come in for Vihari, and Mayank will come in for Jadeja. With we can play Pant as a pure batsman. That might free him up a bit. He had some criticism for his keeping. So if we let him concentrate on his batting, we might get a better performance in the next test.
Yeah, definitely. So agree with you, Ashwin. I mean, even I think that Saha should come in as a kicker. I mean, you have no choice. If you have a choice, you might pick another batsman of sorts. Since KL Rahul is also injured, I think Saha is the obvious choice to replace Vihari if he's unavailable. So coming over to you, Sanket. So do you see any changes in the Australian bowling lineup? I mean, it looks settled, right? I think this is Australia's best 11 as of now. So, how do you change 11? Do you see any change in the order of batting? Because frankly, I feel that they did well, and just it's an unlucky day for the bowlers, particularly today. So, what do you feel? Do you want to make any changes to the team at Brisbane? Or?
Yeah, I think it comes down to fitness. I think Will Pukowski is injured his shoulder, so he's gone for a scan. So I guess we might have more of an update on him by later this evening. If he's fit, then obviously he plays. David Warner did not look fully fit in this test match, and I suppose if he had won this test match, then there might have been a slight case for resting him for the last test. But now that it's all to play for in the last test, yeah, I suspect that if he played this test match, then there would be no reason to leave him out of the last one, even if he's not fit. Uh, I reckon he'll play. I'm not saying that would necessarily be the right choice because there's always the fear of aggravating his injury. But yeah, with Australia having not won this test match, it's almost certain that he's going to play unless there is further aggravation between now and another 3 days' time. So yeah, I think if those two are fit, then yeah, I think the batting lineup remains the same. Matthew Wade did not perform in the middle order, and I said at the start of this test as well that if you're going to play Matthew Wade, it should be as an opening batsman because he's had enough opportunities in the middle order. He's not a very good player of spin bowling, and he's had enough opportunities, and he's not performed at all in that middle order role. If he was offering some sort of value at the top of the order because he was constantly getting those 30s and 40s and seeing off the new ball, so maybe use him in that role and have someone like Pukowski, who I still don't think should be opening the batting, looking at his technique. But yeah, now that they've gone with Pukowski and he scored some runs as an opener, and they look all set to continue with him there. I do not see any point of playing Wade in the middle order. But again, he's just played one test back in the middle order after playing a couple of tests as an opener. So I suspect he will probably get the next test as well. And it would not make much sense to go back to Travis at just one test after having dropped him. So yeah, Marek, So I think, as fitness permitting, it should be the same batting lineup. I think the bowling is where it gets a little trickier. Uh, Nathan Lyon has not been at his best in the series. Although I think, again, I think it needs to be said that he's bowled a lot better than his figures suggest. And there have been occasions where he's not bowled quite as well and has had much better returns. So it's just one of those things where, sometimes the luck is not going your way. But it's unlike other spinners. Nathan Lyon is someone who actually prefers bowling on wickets that are actually supposed to suit the seamers more. His best venues in Australia are at Brisbane and Perth, which are traditionally venues where you might consider playing four fast bowlers. But that is also the venue where Nathan Lyon enjoys bowling the most. So, and given that there are no experienced great seam bowling options currently in reserve, because James Pattinson was the next in line, but he's currently injured, and as far as I remember, he's out of the bubble. Although I am not too sure yet if there is any confirmation that. But if he's not in the bubble, then he cannot play the fourth test, because you have to complete a 3-day quarantine. There's only a 3-day turnaround before the next test, anyways. So if he's out of the bubble as of today, then he cannot possibly play the next test. So the only options in the squad are Michael Neser, who's a hometown boy in Queensland and knows the surface, but he's not played a test match. So you wouldn't really want to be thrusting a debutant in a series decider against what is, in my opinion, the best test team in the world. So that would be a risk. Sean Abbott again is not played a test match, so again that's another debutant. And Mitchell Swepson, another debutant leg spinner, and again India generally play leg spin really well, and he got absolutely savaged in
Batter.
the warm up in the warm
Oh,
up
yeah.
match by Rishabh Pant and Vihari. So again, that's not a very exciting option to consider. So I think all things considered, if these guys are fit enough to pull up well in another 3 days, I still think that of the bowlers that are currently available to Australia within the squad, I still think this is our best bowling attack. So I would still give these guys another go, and hopefully we win the toss and bat for a day and a half, hopefully, to give them more time to recover. Because if India win the toss and bat first, then yeah, things could get very, very tricky with the short turnaround, and with them having bowled 140 overs on the fourth and fifth day in this test match. So I think the toss at Brisbane. I say this before every test, and I've said this
Yeah,
throughout the series. But yeah, I think considering the short turnaround and considering what has happened in this test and the workload that they've had to endure, the toss probably becomes even more crucial than usual for the Gabba test match. If someone like Pattinson wasn't available in the squad, then I think that there was definitely a case for upgrading on Mitchell Starc, who's not been at his best. For someone like Pattinson, who's had enjoyed success against India in the past, his experience at this level, or even someone like Guy Richardson, who's only played 2 test matches, but he's played international cricket. He's had success at international level, and bowls 145 Ks. So it's clearly there is an element of special talent about him. I don't think Michael Neser and Sean Abbott, they're both great first class bowlers, but I don't think India would be losing sleep over playing them at the Gabba. So I would still rather go with Mitchell Starc, who's more of a known customer and is got a good record at the Gabba. So hopefully he comes good there. Nathan Lyon again has a good record at the Gabba, and what one would hope that he generally has that one good performance against India every series. In general, it's generally come at the start of the series. This time around, he's not had a great start to the series, so maybe hopefully he can finish well this time around. So yeah, I think same team for me, provided everyone is fit.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with your points. I think Australia will go with the same 11, and even in this test match, I feel that toss played a huge part. This might be an unpopular opinion, but the wicket was really good to bat on the first 2 days. I mean, usually we see the first 2 days it will be slightly tricky, and as you go on, it will be tough to bat on. But today, I mean, the first day it was just beautiful to bat on. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks both of you for being part of this podcast. And it's 1-1, set up exciting for the Java test. Australia haven't lost there, and which gives India a much more bigger challenge uh, to go on defy the odds. So, thanks a lot, Ashwin and Sanket. We'll see you at the Java test. Thank you.
Thank you so much.